Thank you, Mr. President. We must first stress the rank hypocrisy on display here today. This meeting has been called for by the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, responsible for the most horrifying barbarism across the region and the globe, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran has used its proxies, Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah, to target Israel and our citizens from every direction. Just last week, children were innocently playing a soccer game in the Druze village of Majd al-Shams. An Iranian-supplied Falak 1 Hezbollah rocket murdered 12 of these children and injured 30 others. Where were the condemnations of Hezbollah and their Iranian suppliers for the butchery of these 12 children? All that was heard were expressions of concern for escalation and calling for both sides, again equating a democratic member state of the United Nations with a vicious terrorist organization to show restraint. Those who really seek stability in the region should welcome the removal of arch-terrorists, not call on both sides to restrain themselves. Yesterday, Israel carried out a precise strike against Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr, a senior terrorist with the blood of Israelis and many others on his hands. He was the commander responsible for the Majd al-Shams massacre, along with all of Hezbollah's incessant missile attacks against Israel for the past 9.5 months. These attacks involved more than 6,500 rockets, hundreds of UAVs, and over 1,000 anti-tank missiles, killing dozens of Israeli soldiers and civilians, and forcing over 80,000 Israelis to evacuate their homes from the north of Israel. In addition, we wish to remind this Council of Shukr's responsibility for the 1983 attack on US Marines and French forces in Beirut, murdering 241 US soldiers and 58 French soldiers. This operation sends a clear message. We will defend ourselves and respond with great force against those who harm us. The State of Israel will not stand idly by. We will continue to defend ourselves and our citizens. The world must support Israel at this time and demand Hezbollah's compliance with the Security Council resolutions 1701 by ceasing its attacks, withdrawing to the north of the Litani River, and disarming. We, on our side, have a duty to ensure the safe and secure return of Israelis to their homes in northern Israel, and we will continue to act to defend all the people of Israel. However, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis can only expel their venom thanks to the head of the snake. Since the horrific attack by Hamas on October 7th last year, Iran has provided some $800 million to Hezbollah, along with missile precision technology, anti-tank munitions, and explosive-laden UAVs. These are all used by Hezbollah against Israeli civilians. This is in addition to the more than $260 million annually provided by Iran to Hamas and Islamic Jihad, an amount which has increased over the past 9 months. This support is reflected by the fact that over 30% of the military arms and munitions captured by Israel in the Gaza Strip were Iranian produced. The actions of Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah are not just an Israeli or Jewish problem. The Islamic regime will target any who stand in its way to achieve global tyranny. Iran uses its proxies to the detriment of Israel right now, but their vision is far wider. Now imagine these aspirations if Iran achieves its goal of possessing nuclear weapons capabilities. While this council perverts its mission prosecuting Israel as we defend our people, the Ayatollahs in Iran are formulating strategies to wipe Israel and the Jewish people from the face of the earth. They continue to provide millions of dollars in weapons also to the Houthis, who have put them to murderous use against Israel while they strangle world shipping routes. The Houthis alone have launched over 200 attacks against Israel since the October 7th massacre. The truth is that Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis are the poisonous tip of Iran's spear, which is being held against the world's throat. Where is Iran's summons to this council for their grave violations of every relevant resolution, such as 2216 and 1701? Where are the condemnations of Hamas and their vile attack on October 7th? Where are the condemnations for Hezbollah and the Houthis and their puppet master, the Islamic regime? Members of the Council feign concern for a regional escalation, yet quake at the prospect of addressing the root of this escalation. I wish to cast your minds back for a moment to May 2nd, 2011. Then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon celebrated the termination of Osama bin Laden, describing it as a watershed moment in our common global fight against terrorism. He exclaims his relief at the news that justice has been done to such a mastermind of international terrorism. Please, take a moment to reflect on this reaction just 13 years ago and contrast it with the UN's condemnations today. Ask yourselves what you believe is the reason for this drastic shift. The only conclusion we may reach is that because it is now Israel that is facing barbaric Iranian terror and taking necessary action to protect its citizens, that the UN takes issue. Iran is not merely a sponsor of terrorism, it is the very engine driving the machinery of death and destruction that threatens us all. The blood of innocent children in Majd al-Shams and of the victims of the October 7th massacre and all other victims since then, the ceaseless rocket fire on Israeli towns, the ongoing plight of the 115 hostages still being held by Hamas tomorrow for 300 days, all trace back to Tehran's ruthless ambitions. We urge the international community to hold the Islamic Republic accountable for its crimes. The world cannot afford to cower before the Ayatollah's tyranny. We therefore demand that this council moves to condemn Iran for its continued support of regional terrorism and increase its sanctions on Tehran. It must also list the Iranian Revolutionary Guards as a terror organization as it continues to lead and coordinate attacks across the Middle East and the world. I thank you.